Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in once again to the Duval Dive. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game of Fans First Sports Network. And you are Travis. See, the dude tells me, I want to try the new intro. Completely flubs it right out the gate. Of course, this is Travis T. Holmes of Big Cat Country because apparently he forgot who he is. But nonetheless, what better way to flub an intro is when we have a very special guest that, from my perspective, at least, is an introduction long overdue. I've finally gotten a chance to talk to this man through the looking glass of virtual podcasting. And of course, it's none other than Den Media Group's own James Coleman. Big game, James, for those of you who are true believers. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? Happy almost Jag season day. It's getting
Almost
close.
Jags season. Like I'm gonna go full Chris Berman. Let me be among the last to wish you a happy Father's Day for all the stuff you do for the kids. I think that's a worthwhile mention there too. And of course, there's going to be all sorts of stuff about foundational news and things you're doing here coming up here. But let's get right into it, James. Listen, I feel like it's written in a stone tablet or somewhere that I have to bring up Travis Hunter and just your reaction. Obviously, you're a dude that goes had success. You know, I make fun of those who are FSU, but I respect them still because I live in Florida. But obviously, you have that college experience. You have NFL experience. When you see somebody that could do all of that, like Travis Hunter is about to be asked to do, or even doing it at the college level, like, what's your first thought? How exciting is it?
It's exciting because it's a tool. It's a Swiss Army knife, and most times guys who are like that don't get drafted that high. But most of the times, guys like that don't win Heisman trophies and are not as talented as he is. It's one of those things that could be argued that if he only played wide receiver, he would clearly be the Biletnikoff. If he only played DB, he would be the best DB in the nation. If if he put him on, I'm pretty sure he can return kicks. He could do a lot of different things extremely well. And a lot of times guys who are good at everything are not great at anything. And normally that would scare me. That would scare me to the point of like, okay, how do we use this guy? And I think me and Travis talked about it beforehand. I said, he's not your number one wide receiver. He's not going to be your number one DB. So why are we drafting him number 2 overall? But then I thought about it as the pick happened, and I looked at what the Jags gave away in order to get this pick, because I was more of I wanted a duel. I wanted another pass rusher. You can never have enough of those. But then I thought about it. Brian Thomas Jr. is an incredible wide receiver.
Yes.
When they throw him the ball. I've been in I gamble. I like it. It gives me another reason to intensely watch games that I have no interest in caring about. But I would pick the what is it, the stats. I'm trying to think of the but like, and I've had Brian Thomas Jr. to get over 65 yards numerous games. Brian Thomas Jr. to score a touchdown numerous games. To see him wide open and to see Trevor rather throw it to the other team, or the guy with 3 people guarding him and not the guy with 1. But once they really got Mac Jones got in there, got in the rhythm, they started throwing him the ball. And then when you think about all of the different things that they already have or what they picked up, with the Redskins, picked up a wide receiver, Diame, who had a really good playoff run. So you can see the trending up for him. You already have Parker Washington. So you have this receiving core, and he doesn't need to be the number 1. You have to move the chain guys. He needs to be the slot guy that could be dynamic in the middle of the field. So if he's able to get you 2 or 3 splash plays in a game, he served his purpose on offense. Then when you go and you look at the defensive side of the ball, he's not – I don't think he's not – he's a good man corner, but he's also petite. He's not Jerrion Jones, who is a good man corner, who they've talked about going ahead and letting him do his thing there. He's Tyson Campbell, who is a good man corner when healthy. You've got your 2 guys right there. All right, so what do we want him to do on defense? 3rd and long. We go ahead and put him over the slot guy and defend the guy that we want him to be. And I think now you have a guy who's only when he's on the field, you're expecting big plays, which really plays into what he's been able to do since he's been in high school. So it actually makes it seem like it could be a viable thing. 800, if he's able to get you 800 yards receiving and he's able to get you 3 or 4 picks on defense, he is well worth the investment, even though he's a Swiss Army knife or a gadget. And those are all things that aren't asking him to be the franchise for you. You're asking him to be the energy injector, which is what this franchise needed so much of, because it's been very boring and Melbatose, even with our superstars.
I'm glad you brought that up, James, because like I have seen these and it's all clickbait trash. I know that, but it makes me laugh when I see something out there on social media. Oh, Travis Hunter's dancing too much in practice. People are telling him to stop dancing. Meanwhile, you got BTJ over here talking about how the dude can't stop asking questions. Like I mentioned it just the other day here on the Duval Dive about he's like a 2-year-old, right? Why? Well, you do this to run this route. Why? And like he's asking all these questions to the point that in a post practice interview, BTJ's like, this dude needs to stop asking so many questions. So I feel like there's a lot going on there with that energy element and being that fun guy. I mean, sure, it's one thing to dance in practice. It's another to do it in a head-to-toe pink suit on the draft stage when you just got traded from. There was just a trade that for 5-2 to get you picked up, man.
I mean, I don't think we've ever in Jacksonville. I don't think there's ever been a player that they brought in that kind of carried that sort of aura, that sort of brought this number of eyes on the franchise. Like Trevor Lawrence might be the only true comparison, and I don't think even Trevor was to that level. If you know what I mean, like. No. This is just different, especially when you add the fact that it's a new GM and a new head coach.
Come on, y'all were stoked about Blaine Gabbert. Let's go.
Right, yeah. Blaine Gabbert shut down a whole draft party. It's different. His youthful energy is his we call it green. Mm-hmm. He just seems very green, and I like it. It's kind of like I hope he doesn't lose it. I joke when everybody talks about his wife and all these other things, and I'm like, I hope she doesn't kill that youthful vigor that he has. Just I hope life doesn't beat him down. And I think Travis Hunter is 21 years old. I thought 20 and 21 was old when I was young. I'll be 41 in a month. I feel like that's young now. That's still not old. My son thinks it's ancient, and he thinks I played a few years post-slavery, and he doesn't have any concept of time. But Travis is a young guy, and we have this thing because these guys are immensely talented, and they're getting paid a lot of money that they have to be what our version of maturity is. And that's just not what a 21-year-old does. When I was 21, I was cool with this, but I also drank and went to the clubs. And he doesn't do that. He plays video games, he dances, and he plays football. Like he's about as wholesome as you want a guy to be. And if we're complaining about this, I can guarantee you that almost everybody else in the draft is at strip clubs right now and enjoying other things than what Travis is doing. And again, he's also making plays. NCAA in a NCAA video game in a method to be more realistic will not let you intercept the ball if you're not looking at the ball, if you're not looking at the person. Meanwhile, Travis makes a diving interception with his head looking at the grass. So you got a video game trying to be more real life while you have a guy making video game interceptions in real life. That's what you have. And I don't want him to be Trevor Lawrence because Trevor doesn't look like he's having fun. Trevor looks like he's trying to be the phenom that we were gassed up to be. BTJ is who he is. He looks like a guy who feels like he should have been drafted higher and he fell a little bit. All of these other guys feel like they have something to prove. Meanwhile, the most talented guy is out there just having a blast. And I think that's what it is a game. You got to have fun. If you can't have fun, this game is going to chew you up and spit you out.
Because it's not like Jarmian Jones didn't have some of that energy. And I know how excited
he does have that. Yeah,
he does have that, but it's to a different. Now between the two of them, I think it's awesome. Go ahead, Travis. I know I'm talking about defensive.
No. James just pointed out a really interesting dichotomy between all these players. Like he just pointed out the fact that Trevor is the guy who was brought in to be the franchise without question, to be the franchise. Everything on your back, you got to carry this. This is all on you, and all the weight that comes along with that. And then you have another guy who was Brian Thomas Jr., who was brought in, who obviously, like everyone knew, eventually the goal was for him to be that number one receiver. But at the time, it was just to be a cog in the machine. And by the end of that season, to kind of step into that role, and it worked really well for him as he blossomed into that number one receiver that we all wanted him to be in the first place. And then you have Travis Hunter, who's now being brought in all the ways as that Swiss Army knife, and he has that freedom to just to be what he's going to be, because he doesn't have to be the franchise. It would be nice, but he doesn't have to be the franchise, and that freedom that allows is kind of just real interesting to me. Because when you say Trevor doesn't like he's having fun, maybe he wouldn't, with all that extra weight that goes along with the thing, and then not being supported by the GM and not being supported as much by the coaches.
We don't have to talk about him being mired in Urban's coaching. Still one of my best dad jokes. Just throwing that out there. But and let me add this too. I think that's the advantage that Travis has, which, by the way, glad to hear, James, that you are in fact a Travis Hunter. I assume that you were one that was hoping the Jags would draft him, and
no,
you were not a Travis. Who are you?
But I like him. I like it. I'm good with it. I'm a as a guy, I go to the combine every year. I participated in it. I love football. And I'm probably what, as the mob people would call Mustache Pete. I'm a traditionalist with certain things. I believe you get better in the trenches. I always joke. Now I can say I joke on my show all the time. It's the key to football and it's the key to life. If you got good D and you get some consistent top, you're gonna be pleased in every area of life, including on the football field. If your defense doesn't allow the other team to score and you win time of possession, that's still, if you ask me where do I want to draft, anything that's going to help me get better in those areas.
Right.
And I want a corner that's going to be a lockdown corner. I want this guy that's going to be this. But I also get why you draft Travis Hunter. Like I was Abdul Carter, the Penn State defensive end.
Yeah, sure.
That's who I was like, please let him fall.
I was convinced that wasn't going to happen. That's why I was convinced both he and Travis weren't going to happen. Travis Hunter, I got to be careful. I have a co-host named Travis. My bad, brother. But I was convinced that those weren't going to happen, because even the Giants and the Browns weren't going to screw that up, or so I thought.
They're good at figuring a way to mess up.
We'll get to the Browns in a minute, because there's some things there I do want to touch on before we move to something else. I mean, we spend a good amount of time. This is a good talk, but there's just one question: Campbell or Mimbu? Who'd you have?
Campbell and what?
Campbell or Mimbu? Who are you drafting if you wanted the trenches?
Campbell.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with it.
I've just seen him up front. I've seen him more than the other one. So like that would be who I would have gone for. But yeah, I mean, just like again, I got young kids. You got kids, right? So I look at stuff and I tell people, as a marketing guy, I have market research in my house. I not only have a 12-year-old, but he has a lot of 12-year-old friends, believe it or not. And they all play football. And so there's two things that I know that these kids like. Locally, there's a wide receiver that I happen to coach, and his name is Bryson Wright, and he's a phenom. They all want to be B5, is what they call him.
Mm-hmm.
I actually hope B5 gets drafted by the Jaguars one day. It'll be our Kobe Bryant moment. It would be nuts, but that's years down the road. And then Travis Hunter, and they're just like, well, my son doesn't like Travis because of the hat thing with Florida State. He's extremely petty. He's never going to forgive that. But everybody else likes him, and it's like, I have never heard a bunch. Again, Jacksonville's a city that's 35% African American, and playing a sport where they say 70%, but It's so much to the point where they do a white Pro Bowl list every year. I love it. It's hilarious. Like where they go, like they did like the top white rushers in the last 20 years. It was sad. It makes you appreciate Christian McCaffrey though. But
yes, sir.
I say that to say is I have not seen kids in outside drop back. I'm Trevor Lawrence. No. Okay. I'm going to run a route. Boom, boom, BTJ. You got kids wanting to be Travis Hunter. The jersey immediately sells out. A lot of these different things. It immediately brought an energy to this city that has, again, like I said, brought a fun to this city that I've only seen flashes of. 2017 was extremely fun because nobody saw it coming. What was it? 2022 was cool. When we made the playoff run, but it wasn't like 17. But being here in Jacksonville for 17 years, all these people talk about is 95 and 96 and 97 and the playoff runs. Those guys are so cherished in this city that the third string long snapper could go on and have a podcast and everybody listens to it and will listen to him tell these stories. We haven't, but they were fun people to be around and energy. Yeah. And like right now, that's kind of what it feels like with no production yet. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Okay, I can't front on. Well, and let me build on this too, because you talk about how explosive Travis Hunter is. You talk about how explosive BTJ is. Then you added De'Ami Brown. First of all, and I've said this plenty, I'll say it in front of you, James, so you can hear it too. But like, forget a red zone package. I'm not worried about that. I don't know what the opposite of a red zone package is, but I'm gonna call it a fly zone package. And I know Travis gets insulted because DBs talk about no fly zone and all that. Fine, whatever. But I do make a point. But I want a fly zone package where it's gonna be BTJ, De'Ami Brown, and Travis Hunter just streaking down the field. Right? Maybe you have Parker Washington and it's a spread, or you have Brenton Strange on some sort of a valve, where then NTN is another option leaking out. And I just to throw the entire thing from your perspective as a dude that played in an offensive backfield at a high level, how much relief do you see the running game get, and how much impact? Like, is this the first step beyond the fact that O-line room is what has as many new guys in it as possible? I think it's the group with the most new people percentage wise in it. Let's be clear. But how much does that open up the run game to try to make this team balanced? I mean, I know we got BTJ in place there if you're watching this team and all of that. This makes this team balanced as well, right? This is how big an impact we got.
You have to force teams to be in too high safety. They cannot disrespect you and dare you to throw the ball. Again, NFL, everybody loves the quarter. Which again, I think the quarterback is the most overrated position on the field. But because if you have a good running game, the passing game will get open and vice versa. But if you know Brian Thomas Jr. is going to make a DB's life hell, you have to have a safety that's over there. And if you got another guy who's able to do those things, then you're going to be good as well. So they're going to probably be in a lot of 11 personnel. So that's going to, again, Brenton Strange is going to have to be what Evan Ingram was that one season. I mean, it's not hard to be what Evan Ingram's been last season, but before that, you have to hope to get him to that level. But I do think
with Trevor was the year you're talking about, obviously 2 years ago, right?
Well, yeah. With Trevor was able to do that
because, like,
but Trevor will. Now, here's the scary part, and I've said this. Travis has sat with me in the press box, and one day I'm just going to just flip my thing open, and I'm going to go StreamYard while I'm watching the game, so that people can hear.
It's funny.
It's funny, y'all. I'm like, Trevor will throw you into the infirmary, and like he's going to get you lit up. And like, so that's where all of this is cool on Madden, right? On our lads when we're moving around depth charts and we're looking at stuff. But then you got to play the game, and like Trevor's tall, long limbed. So the trajectory of the ball is a little bit different than it would be for your 6'1" type quarterback. 6'1" quarterbacks and shorter, the ball kind of travels up when he throws it. For whatever reason, the taller guys, the ball is either level or it goes down. And it's harder to catch that. But definitely when it's level, it's like you got to if you're not getting hit,
you got to go up and get it.
You're going to pull a core muscle because you got to explode up to get that. So the cool thing is that's what BTJ does. Travis Hunter is like on the video game is definitely 85 plus on Spectacular Catch. Parker Washington did a pretty good job down the stretch. And again, so you have the ability to go 4 verticals on that.
10 Media Group's James Coleman. Tell the world where you can be found, my friend.
At Big Game James _36 on Twitter, IG, Den Media Group on the YouTube. We have Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. We do Big Games BS. A plethora of other different shows that we do on that. Big Games BS is where you can win. Every increment of 1,000 that we get over, we give money away. So when we get to, I think we're like trying to get to 7,000. Once we get to 7,000 subs, we will give away. We'll give away $500 to a listener of Big Games BS Live, $200 to a member. We get to 10,000. We'll buy season tickets to somebody's favorite, a pair of season tickets to somebody's favorite sports team. Most of them are FSU fans, so it's kind of easy. I have season tickets, so we can give you those pretty quick. But you know, we try to give unique fan experiences along with unique perspectives, and everybody's able to come in as long as you can hold your own and it makes sense. We'll dialogue and we'll be able to have that. We love intelligent conversations. It's not just about sound bites, even though we do get a lot of sound bites.
Travis, tell the world where you can be found, my guy.
You already know. Travis D. Holmes on all the socials. And most importantly, BigCatCountry.com for all of our writing covering the Jaguars, press conferences, pressers. We'll be covering training camp once that starts end of June. So yeah, keep it locked in, man. But what can you be found, Nash?
Oh, of course, I am Kyle Nash, the steer of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Of course, check out my ratings with the Fans First Sports Network covering your Jacksonville Jaguars as well as the Orlando Magic. Desmond Bain in the building. I wrote about that and why there may just be a little bit more hope despite losing one Cole Anthony and Contavious Caldwell Pope. Make sure you check that out, Fans for Sports Network. And of course, my work with the Black and Gold Banneret. Chad Mottola recently interviewed on the Night Shift podcast, by the way, UCF alum and Tampa Bay Ray batting coach. Make sure you check that out. My guy, Donnie Docs, Don Struble with that interview, blackandgoldbanneret.com, and of course, the Night Shift YouTube channel. So for my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, James Coleman in the building doing a great job. Thank you, sir. Talking about intelligent conversations. You certainly brought that tonight. Thank you very much. And for all you out there watching and commenting, until next time, everyone, thank you